I, I should have learned a little bit more about poker, all in. Please have a seat, friends. But then whatever I could learn, whatever I could gain more understanding last evening, I'll try to utilize in the conversation with more than 100 years of total experience here, sitting alongside myself, all in. I think that is something we have been talking about. How do we take everybody's perspective? How do we go together? But then, with all due respect, we all know, all of us, that there are definitely silos. How do we break that? So my first question is to you, Ruby. Uh, while we all agree that the things have improved in recent times, but then there are still silos when we talk about what kind of technology enablement do we take into consideration versus the management decisions versus budgets and everything. How do we take care of that to ensure that we are rightly positioned in terms of taking the right controls, right measures for ever evolving threats?
Thank you, Manshu, and I would like to thank the entire team for giving us an opportunity to express our experience and whatever we have learned so far. I think it's a great platform for all of us. Coming back to your question, Manshu, I agree with Mr. Kumar just spoke earlier that anything that we have done today or whatever the world is going with, we should not forget our base. So going with the same approach, the CISO of the firm is not only a core IT person, he has or she has multiple other responsibilities. So going back with the earlier theory, top to bottom approach. So management has to be aware of why security is important. For that, the CISO has to get out of their shell. For example, I've seen CISO working at backend, doing everything best, but does the firm know what the person is doing? Is management aware of what all you are doing? So it is important, for example, making a small dashboard, presenting the matrices to the management. Pull up your coup, pull up your CEO, come and see what sort of incidents you have managed, what sort of attacks you have protected from. So I think those are the important things and also tell them what the industry is going through. This firm has been attacked, this was a reason, etc. That will create a sense because, see, management has got multiple other things to do. Obviously, revenue and business is something which is a key focus for them. Then where do you take a place? So once they know the importance of what you are doing, how you are doing it, they will clearly give a mandate to every firm member that this security is important. This is how I am driving. I'm just sharing my experience.
Sure, perfect.
So that's the approach. That's the approach. And when it comes that, for example, you said silos. Silos means your IT, your tech guy is choosing something without you knowing it. And then you get a surprise that this has been brought in. Why don't you put up a process in your firm that any new thing which is coming in the process have to go through the security review processes. Automatically, that's how I have been done. So this is a culture we have brought it in the firm,
Superb. So I think the perspective that I am gaining out of it is it shouldn't be poker face in the game, right? It should be all in. We shouldn't be hiding anything.
Yes.
It should be an open-ended conversation, and the benefits and the measurable benefits and measurable
Absolutely.
visibility in terms of what we are doing should be shown to the management.
And the people as well. Why don't we send a communication to all employees saying, see, this is how it's been done,
Right.
So I think then it creates a sense of awareness among the people that yes, there's a team who is working in backend.
Superb, superb. Taking that cue, Gaurav, now we spoke about the getting all in, taking all hands. But then operationally, there are expertise in various different fields. When it comes to manufacturing, okay, Bira, right, for that matter, we have different expertise. How do we manage those operational challenges? Security always seen as, okay, you guys are the ones who are kind of delaying my operational efficiencies or the lead time towards final product delivery and so on and so forth, both in terms of the production line and in terms of the digitization. How do we tackle that?
Right, Himanshu. Hi, everyone. So, I think more experienced and prominent leaders are sitting. I also learn from them. So I'll not go bookish. I think everybody is aware of operational challenges in terms of vulnerability management. We are using a lot of legacy systems. Patching is one of the issues. And as before this sessions are discussed about the human interference and all these things. What I'll just tell you in the industry where I operate, in the Alco-Bev segment, you'll feel like there are real scenarios which will pop up like anything. For example, you have elections in your state and the excise commissioner comes to your office. We want to access all your CCTV, not sitting in your premises, in my premises, right? And I just need to capture that whatever you are brewing or producing, every single drop should be notified to me. It cannot go out of it without my permission and all. It becomes very difficult for you to manage, to convince your management that yes, that is to be given because business disruptions will come like that. In that scenario, you have to immediately create that passage for them to give access to your network, giving all the data which is required during that time because at that time it will bring down your efficiency. On the other hand, government compliances, regulatory authorities, you cannot deny, right? So it becomes very important that these things are coming to you every now and then. You should be prepared early so that there should be less disruptions in your business.
So you touched upon the preparation part, right? I'll move to you, Agnello, and we'll speak about your transition from the core banking and BFSI experience to more critical infrastructure-oriented business. How important is preparation? How important is being prepared for anything unforeseen? Specifically talking about both your banking experience, because of course that's also part of our critical infrastructure, and your current role taking care of another set of critical infrastructure for the nation.
So the transition has been quite interesting for me here. BFSI banking, very highly regulated and very prescriptive in terms of what has to be done and those kind of things, versus a critical infrastructure like an airport, so the risk and challenges are a bit different in both places, right? So while in the banking it is more about data and transaction security, while here it's So while here the focus is more on the availability of systems, and it is very critical because in certain cases it can become life-threatening, right? So from that point of view, it's absolutely from the sheer impact point of view, it's very critical here. So some of the challenges that I find, in the critical infra that I'm working here over is obviously some of the things that my co-panelists already mentioned, right? Legacy systems, patching, and all of that. It's not so easy like it would be in a banking environment, right? So you have to deal with those kind of situations and find solutions that can mitigate some of this risk through other means, right? So yeah, so it's quite interesting and challenging, and I'm enjoying it as of now.
Great. I think I'll just add up to what you mentioned about Agnello. The recent last 15-20 days, specifically to our infrastructure, what we both take care of, and the mandate that came 3 days ago, that there's a specific organization which has been debarred from operating out of these infrastructure units, institutions. Preparation. So ensuring that we have the backups in place, ensuring that we were having the alternative mechanisms in place. Because ultimately, if we don't have that, there's a huge chaotic situation which appears in these critical infrastructure. And we all came via flights, of course, and thankfully we never saw any of those disruptions due to these mandates. And it was all showcasing the preparations.
Yeah, just to add that since here in this environment we are very much OEM driven, there are a lot of OEM driven technology that are there in place, right? And some of them are not very easy to replace and take off, right? So I think your BCP and business continuity and your resiliency, all of that has to really be looked at very closely, right? In case there is a cyber attack, then how do you ensure the continuity of business? So that becomes very critical. Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. So essentially, poker face won't work here as well. You have to go all in, especially considering the legacy, the heavy dependency on the OEMs, many a time single OEM, right? You don't really have an option to replace the OEM. Taking that cue, coming to you, Santosh, pharmaceutical, heavily regulated, and we saw how your organization was kind of involved in, during those COVID times and everything. The R&D perspective, the people who are there in the core, who are making the discoveries and making the final products, versus the technology, versus the compliances, versus global mandates. How is that looked upon? It's coming back to the same point which I started with, the siloed approach and all-in. Your perspective on that.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you can hear me. Yeah, okay. Before I start on this, I was just looking into this avatars, right? I look very young, so thanks to one who prepared this avatars for us from yesterday. So let me make it very interactive, right? How many of us in this room have heard about AI-assisted baby? Yeah, AI assisted. Okay, I can see one hand up. So, and there are many interesting use cases that is coming across the world, especially around the pharmaceutical side. And AI assisted solution is touching upon even the embryo selection process. That's where we are into. So with this AI advancements coming into picture, I sit in the global clinical data management space. So every use case that we pick up, it has a cybersecurity assessment which we need to go through. And we have a very strong global cybersecurity team where we collaborate with them in terms of working through our use case. And it's not an optional area for us, right? Because each of our solution handles the patient data, and it is critical for us. We protect the data, and also we closely collaborate with the data privacy office team. So it's an amalgamation of technology plus science, and that's where I see, I know the cybersecurity leaders and professionals in this room play a critical role, right, when we talk about AI advancements. If I have to take some examples, right, we are talking about Gen AI solution. So there are a lot of opportunities when we talk about Gen AI solutions. And also I see there is a critical demand for us to look into the potential attacks it can provide. For example, the prompt injections and the adversarial attacks. And when we talk about, Himanshu mentioned about regulatory industry I'm into, right? So we have our own validated platform for this because we monitor each of the data, and that's where every pharma industry has a kind of take a conservative approach, right, when we onboard any tools. And yesterday I was listening to some of the booths, right, where they touched upon onboarding suppliers into the process. So we are process driven, and all the collaborators and the stakeholders in the process get onboarded into this. And it is very critical for us, even the third-party tools and the open source solutions that we leverage need to abide by this process, along with the global GDPR, HIPAA, and other FDA regulations. So that's something I would like to touch upon.
Great. I think the perspective that you brought about the advanced technologies utilized in some of these biological aspects of life, how is that compared to the kind of legacy system we are utilizing in our manufacturing industries, or maybe at the airports, or maybe at some of the automobile production systems? Now, I want to give you all a fireside question. What about this gap? Now, here at one end, we are talking about some of the most advanced discussions that we are having utilizing AI for embryo selection and so on and so forth. But how do we bridge that gap in terms of the advanced innovative solutions versus the legacy which is already there, which is up and running for maybe many years, and they're pretty working fine? When we go to the management, they say, okay, chal to raha hai na boss. Right? That's what we keep hearing. So how do we bridge that gap? A fireside question to all of you. We'll start with you, Gaurav.
I think skill set is one of the important things, which I feel, I think when you possess that skill set, keep upgrading yourself, communicating to the management. I think it plays a very important role. I think not the bookish language. I've seen this in my personal life. People once, having that, knowledge of what we are currently doing, what are the other industry peers are doing, it makes very, very important how you communicate to management. I think this skill set fills that gap and make you more that every ROI, every penny you spend for the organization brings an outcome for the profitability for them. I think it's very, very important.
So I believe one important factor is budget, So upgrading the system or making or bringing something which is latest or vulnerability free sort of thing, or having a system which can give a view. For example, if it is, how do you patch your system, and if your system is not patched, what sort of alert you are getting, what sort of scanning mechanism you have, and how do you make a call or make a use case to get it upgraded, which requires cost. So going back to my initial one, making management aware of the impact is very important. When you go and tell them that we want to upgrade it, चल तो रहा है, which you said, चल तो रहा है, लेकिन इसके साथ अगर ये हो जाता है, which is a very, very high probability because it's all exploitable one. Show them, explain them, and give them the use case. See, some of the industries, maybe other industry people have not done it, and this has happened. So for that, you have to take a very, very strong call. Cease being the CISO and being the head of the function, it is important for you to look at both aspects. Obviously, you have to run the operation is one thing, and you have to manage the sentiments of the management is also equally important based on the risk assessment and what is going around in the industries. So getting the right budget is something which is very important for all this.
Okay, I can think of being cyber aware is something is critical for an organization. It's not just for the leaders, but also every employee working in the organization need to be cyber aware. When I talk about this, I'm reminded of the simulation assessments that we do, and it need not be the one kind of an annual cyber security awareness training, right? It needs to happen frequently, and we do celebrate Cyber Security Awareness Week, and we do have lots of cyber security quizzes, which involves the employees to be cyber aware, and all the enterprises we talk about cyber security by design, right? So it should be put into action, and that's where all these activities will be handy for the organization.
Agnello?
I think getting budgets is not such a huge problem in the given, current situation that we are in, because I think the boards and the management, they very well understand, the critical infra that we have and everything else. I think one of the biggest challenge that we have is the skill gap, right? Because we already have enough and more technology, but are we really effectively using that technology, right? Most of the issues that you find, the cyber incidents are taking place because of basic hygiene issues, right? Some misconfiguration, someone mentioned in the earlier panel, right? All these kind of things are already happening. So the problem is, there is more technology and there is still more and more that we keep piling up, right? But then what is already there, how effectively are you using that? So that's something we should ponder about. And I think getting the skill gap is a big challenge. Now with AI and with automation, to some extent you can mitigate that risk, but that's an ongoing challenge that I think we have to address.
Super. We still have some time. I wanted to talk about something on the exercise part. We do talk about the awareness, we do talk about let's have role-based trainings and awareness and whatnot. But then exercise is one part where the crisis simulations, in case of anything goes wrong, what needs to be done, who needs to do what. It's like what they say in the defense forces, more you sweat in peace, less you bleed in war. And definitely the perspective of all in. We saw the integrated security forces integrating together, and those integrated command forces taking control and thwarting any attacks on the nation we recently saw. What's your take on exercise? I mean, quick one, because looking at the timer, quick one. How do we exercise in your respective industries?
I think, Himanshu, I got a chance. I think in the real-time scenario, I think it's in public domain.
Great.
We had a ransomware attack last year on 19 March 2024. I think it was first for me as a security head to handle it. Nightmares. I think for 2 weeks, team were there in the office. We rolled back another 2 days. I think we can say that we prepare, we keep the backups. I think what I'll just say is stick to the basics. I think that's very, very important. Whatever you talk about, Uh, all your backup should be intact, configuration should be backed up. This is what is going to come handy when you get through these kind of attacks. So it plays a very, very important role.
Right. So backups, Ruby, your perspective.
So tabletop exercise, obviously we designed, and then a case-based, you know. For example, obviously ransomware is what already my part has talked. So maybe let's take a case business email compromise. What are the steps which needs to be followed? So as a CISO of the firm, first is important for you to obviously have a SOPs, try to identify the cases and have SOPs against it. Who will do what? And then tabletop exercise is very important, including your communication team, you know. In the real situation, media plays a very, very critical role. Whatever they will publish is something that people has to believe. So how do you control the sentiment of media, you know? So that team also needs to be involved. So it's not tabletop exercise should not be only limited to your IT functions, data center or servers or network team. It should also be other business stakeholders or other people who will be managing the real situation on the ground. So I think that really helps. We do a lot of tabletop exercise.
So backup, tabletop exercises, and communication. Santosh?
Yeah, so we have a very strong, I would say, L&D curriculum where we have scenario-based awareness, right, for the employees, especially around the phishing attacks. And also what we are trying to do is, as we are growing in the AI advancement space, we are looking at opportunities where we can embed the AI-related attacks as well. We speak about the pros of the AI, right? Adoption, we talk about threat analysis and things. But we also cover on the cons part of it so that we drive this literacy as a kind of an accelerated program among employees. And as I said in the sometime back, it's also we do a lot of simulation assessments. And we try to find out, right, how the response is from the employees, and how do we do that incident response planning exercise as well. So a great job being done by our global team around that. Yeah.
Great. So backup, communications, incident response, and training, simulated training. Agnello?
Yeah, I think a well-defined cyber crisis management plan is something that is really required, and obviously all these things really tie in, right? The awareness, the tabletop exercises, all this ties into your cyber crisis management plan. So I think one is you need to define a cyber crisis management plan, and you need to really basically keep looking at it, and looking at what kind of incidents that have happened, and how do you basically correct whatever is written there, right? Because what happens is initially you write a cyber crisis management plan, you have something in mind and you put that in, right? But when you look at actually what's happening on the ground, you come to know, okay, things have to be done in a different way, kind of, and you keep tweaking it and working on it. So it's never a done job actually. So you have to working on it all the while.
Great. So backup, communications, tabletop, incident response, and crisis simulation. We are all talking about basics, isn't it? So once in a while, I think it makes more sense to have more such panel discussions and just talk about what we have been doing, right? It's a refresher. So idea is to keep meeting, keep collaborating, all in, not in silos. I have 1 minute, quick ones, take away for everybody. Agnello, we'll start with you. Take away. One word or one line.
Take over for me
From this conversation.
Yeah. So I think for me a key takeaway would be to basically collaborate with a lot of people who are here, learned people, so that I can. So because of the transition that I'm making from one industry to another, so it will help me to really learn more about this area. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, thanks for this question. So I know before this session we had the CISO handbook, right? So I urge everyone, all the leaders, right, as we kind of drive this India AI mission, there are a lot of initiatives that is coming through. I would urge all of you as an experts within the cybersecurity space to kind of contribute more towards the India AI initiatives. And also we kind of released last year a kind of a playbook for the developers. So why don't we kind of add more elements to this cybersecurity space in terms of all the emerging technologies and the related proactive attacks that can happen. So if we can throw some lens around that and build something for the India AI mission, I would appreciate that.
Theme one, stick to basic. Create the visibility. Create the visibility of security requirements in the firm. And collaboration is very important with all your business stakeholders.
I think as Himanshu just started with all in. So all in collaboration, all in and about learning, all in, not in the risk domain for sure. I was playing casino last night, since morning. Yeah, so I'll not say I won, but yeah, I didn't lose much. So yeah.
So takeaway is continue to collaborate and contribute and communicate. So 4 C's. Thank you, Strateging, for putting us all together.